Travis Kelce did something very important. He just got to the top of the pyramid, the white vacationers pyramid. There's a group of people, white people, who vacationed as Negroes for a time until they went back white. And when they went back white, they got untold riches.
Yeah, who else is on it?
At the bottom is Post Malone. Post Malone, who came up, is my God, is white eye the sun. A couple of years later, Post Malone was like, rap is not real music. I was like, God damn. Very powerful white vacationer. Miley Cyrus, one of the best. She went from Disney, then all of a sudden, Miley Cyrus was throwing ass and being down with Mike Will Made It. She had the Jordan. She was a top flight black culture vacationer.
Okay.
Loved it. One day, all done. That music really doesn't have very much value. Miley, what? Justin Bieber. Big time. Now, Justin Bieber has basically almost come back with the last album where he all of a sudden doing R&B again.
They're saying he's ambiguous now.
He biracial.
He might be at the top of the pyramid with that.
But Justin Bieber came along. It's a lonely girl, lonely girl. And the next thing it was like, my nigga, my nigga, my nigga. And then he took it further because he actually started getting in trouble. Rick Ross and the rest of these guys giving Justin Bieber lean, and then Justin Bieber actually fucking the whole lean situation up. They then took the activists off the shelves, and you had a whole bunch of black lean heads that I know from Sea to Shining Sea going, how the fuck we let Justin Bieber sip lean with us? But that's not who Travis Kelce overtook. The number one white vacationer of all time before Travis Kelce just got to the top is Patty Hearst. Patty Hearst, heiress.
I was thinking like a musician.
No, heiress to the William Randolph Hearst fortune, joins a black liberation group and is living with them, having sex with them, robbing banks with them. It's a picture of Patty Hearst, beret, fucking machine gun at the bank doing the thing.
Yes.
Has her whole little deal, freaks out, has the deal, and then says, I was brainwashed by these niggas. All these niggas go to jail. Right?
It's such a great
Patty says, I was brainwashed by these niggas. These niggas took me and I was captive by them and I was brainwashed. I didn't really want to do that shit. She goes on being Patty Hearst. What happens to them is the same thing that happens to Black Liberation Group. She was number one. But Travis Kelce is over her. He was black. He had the whole thing. Kelce had the haircut. He had the swag. He had different black ladies. He was a part of the chain.
He kind of had a little bit of a black set too at one time.
He saw Taylor Swift and went white again right away. And guess what? It worked because he didn't come up. He's about to have come up more than Patty, Miley, Post Malone, Justin Bieber combined. He got Taylor fucking Swift. The rest of these people, they pissed me off when they did it. Justin Bieber kind of didn't piss me off because he kind of whatever. But Travis Kelce did it, and I'm happy for him.
And committed.
That's a way to kick off a Friday. Welcome to Let It Be Known. And I think folks may have forgotten about Patty Hearst, but that was a great call. That
was hilarious. Peace and love and welcome, everybody. I'm Niele, and we have a great show for you today. We got headlines about Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, the WNBA, Spirit Airlines, Angie Stone, and of course, we have a big guest for you today. Bill Cosby is joining us. And so, Stacey, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah, Dr. Joni, I'll never forget Patty Hearst. Oh my gosh, he went deep in his bag to come up with Patty Hearst. Wow. And he's right. He's spot on.
Yeah.
That's a hilarious part of his commentary. He's spot on.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a education lesson too. A lot of younger people listen to Van Lathan. And so for him to bring up Patty Hearst and the Black Panthers, maybe he'll get him some they'll get them some education about history in America and how it really goes. Although I disagree with him about Justin Bieber. Bieber is still down. You know, he still gets a black card, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, he just
he got problems.
I mean, he has a drug problem, allegedly.
Allegedly.
I mean, bless his heart. I mean, remember a few months earlier, he popped up at the SZA and Kendrick Lamar concert, and SZA had to hold his head up, you know?
Yes, I saw that video. Yeah.
So yeah, I just think, but you know, we love us some Justin Bieber, okay?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Justin Bieber gets invited to the cookout. You didn't know? He had a standing invitation.
Yeah, I know. Donnie Wahlberg is one of those two who kind of gets invited to the cookout. His brother will never get invited to the cookout, though.
Oh yeah. Donnie Wahlberg. He was huge during Club Quarantine days. We used to party up in Club Quarantine.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Well, we do have a couple of news items before we get to our special guest this morning. So we're gonna jump right into it. RNG says, heck no, he can't. Justin Bieber can come to the cookout.
Yes, he can. Okay.
I'm not even a Justin Bieber fan, but he can come.
I'm a firm believer in a white ally. You know, they are very helpful and useful. Okay. You know, a funny thing, let me tell you why they're good. You know, one of the tactics in Black Lives Matter is when they're doing a demonstration, they send the white folks to deal with the police. Smart. They hold the front line. Allies are good. Justin Bieber would hold the front line. Okay.
That's actually hilarious. I mean, I get it. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we demonstrate, you deal with them. And they yes, white people for Black lives. It's a real thing.
Oh, nice. That's one of the best things I've heard about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
The District of Columbia is taking Donald Trump to court, accusing the president of staging an illegal military occupation of the nation's capital more than two 2,200 National Guard troops from 7 states and DC are patrolling neighborhoods with rifles, armored vehicles, and even the power to detain civilians, all without the mayor's consent, according to the lawsuit filed by the Attorney General there in DC, Brian Schwab. Look, we've talked about this. The courts are going to have to step up. The courts have been stepping up. Let me rephrase that. The courts have been stepping up, but the Supreme Court has failed everybody.
Oh, for sure, 100%. But that's Trump's Supreme Court.
Right.
You know, and we're in a day and time where certain institutions in our country are partisan. And the Supreme Court, it's like people don't know how to separate their politics anymore. And it's a huge problem in this country. And I'm still trying to figure out how Donald Trump was able to do that.
They stole a couple of Supreme Court seats. Mitch McConnell, who's now lashing out at Trump and the way the country is going, is the biggest culprit.
Right.
You can't now claim, this country is a disaster now. You created the disaster. You helped create the disaster.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm speaking to the time to where you could be a Republican.
Oh yeah.
But you might find somebody to talk to across the aisle. But just going back to the Supreme Court, even the Supreme Court, no matter what side you Democrat or Republican, you understood what the rule of law was. They're not basing their cases on the rule of law. They're basing their cases on the rule of Donald Trump.
100%, 100%. And it goes back to the appointment of Clarence Thomas. It's like that's we can go on and on, but let's get to a couple of other things. Niel, Lonnie Bunch is fighting back. The Smithsonian secretary isn't backing down. In a new memo, he made it plain to Donald Trump that, quote, our independence is paramount. Instead of caving to the White House's demand to strip out what he calls divisive narratives, Lonnie Bunch announced that the Smithsonian will conduct its own review on its own terms. And so Lonnie Bunch is saying this is not just defiance, it's a declaration that history will not be rewritten by politics. So, Trump wants museums to get rid of anything about slavery, doesn't want anything about racism, and this country was built on slavery and racism.
Yeah, but I mean, a memo saying that you're going to do your own audit. I mean, what's in that museum. Everything in there, is justifiably so. Interesting letter, I'd say.
Very well, yeah. I mean, after all this time, Lonnie Bunch is not saying anything. He's hiding under the desk. He's the sheriff with the gun, but he's under the desk hiding all this time. And now he's gonna come out and instead of using the gun, he pulls out the water gun.
Check this out. Now, remember, we just did the story yesterday about the 2 white pastors getting arrested for Black History Matters. Maybe that gave them some courage.
Maybe
2 white pastors can do it. Let me step up for my people.
Or maybe when he met with Donald Trump the other day, Trump, probably used every term in the book that offended him. Maybe called him boy, sit down or something, and maybe he got a little upset. Who knows? But this is just, Lonnie Bunch he's failing at the moment, if you ask me, from what I can see. The NFL season kicked off last night. A lot of spitting going on. And I got to see the other side of the spitting as they got like 1 million camera angles, and it turns out that not only did the Philadelphia Eagle player spit on Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys and got ejected, but it turns out Dak was spitting too even before the spit. His spit was what precipitated the spit by the Philadelphia Eagle player that got him tossed out of the game. But just as importantly, folks, a new study is showing that the average NFL owner hauls in about $600 million a year, about 7,000 times what the typical fan makes. thanks to the Trump GOP tax law, those billionaire owners will pocket tax cuts of more than $286,000 next year, while everyday fans will be hit with $700 in higher costs because of tariffs. Tickets now average about $125, and beers average about $12, and even hot dogs are getting pricier under the new trade taxes. The billionaires are getting more billions thanks to Trump, and the folks who pay to see this NFL stuff, well, they got to pay more.
Yeah, everything is getting more expensive. Everything. And it's just gonna keep going. It's just gonna keep going. I think, like I say, for the rest of the year, I think that people are gonna really start feeling all of Trump's implementation since he's been in office, and then we'll see, what the people do.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Well, folks, life behind bars and the questions that never went away for the first time ever. Comedian and activist, and you can keep going on and on, but Dr. Bill Cosby will publicly talk about his prison experience and confront the decades-old rumor that his attempt to buy NBC set off the legal firestorm that changed his life. 6 years ago, he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years on an aggravated indecent assault charge. But in June 2021, the state Supreme Court in Pennsylvania ruled that his trial and his conviction were illegal and ordered his release and declared that he could never be tried again on such a charge. Tonight, or today, gosh, it's early in the morning. I'm already saying tonight. But today, and right now, in fact, the one and only Dr. Bill Cosby tells his story in his own words. Mr. Cosby, is always good to talk with you. Okay, can you guys can you hear us, Mr. Cosby?
No.
Okay, I'm glad
you now.
I'm glad you can't hear me, because I was about to say something really bad about you.
Oh, good.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine.
You sound so good, Dr. Cosby.
I am prepared for this.
All right.
Well, who did you have to get prepared for, her or me?
Both of you. For
Us.
the listening audience.
Okay.
And I
Right.
understand that the two of you are preparing or have prepared for your listening audiences.
Absolutely. Again, it's a pleasure to have you. I guess there's a few things we want to jump in on, and certainly always enjoy hearing you discuss things, Mr. Cosby. One of the things we go back to September 6 years ago. You were sentenced to prison, and folks had their thoughts and ideas, but only you experienced that. For everybody with their opinions, but you experienced prison. When you went there, Mr. Cosby, let me just ask you this. Just give us an idea of what that experience like. You were well known and still in a lot of circles known as America's dad. You talked about particularly African Americans and African American men being careful of their experience and not having to experience something like that. But what was that experience? What did you learn from that experience? Because I understand you actually taught some people while you were in there. What did you learn?
When I entered Phoenix for the first time, I could not see. And there were regulations such as taking off your clothes and switching to other things, and then the search for some things that you might have, and then certain things they said would be sent back to my home. I was placed in a situation where there were no other cellmates or
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm.
And I was by myself, except for a guard or two around the area. Pardon me. And I I was met with a a psychologist, I guess. I am told that this female would come, never really uh, announced what would come,
Mhm.
and then say, starting to ask questions, and it was an exam, I guess, to see just how far off you can move the needle, or a person can move the needle with their answers. After that, a couple of days went by, and the food was um, loaded with things that kept food from spoiling, and et
Mhm.
cetera, et cetera. So um, it was delivered to the cell,
Mhm.
and then I was met by the person running Phoenix, who said to me that they were going to move me shortly, and I went to, I forget the name of the wing, but
Mhm.
this was for convicts, and convicts who really and truly had done some uh, things like murder, rape, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just hardened people. But they gave me a cell in that wing, and in the wing, but there may have been, oh, let's see, maybe 100 men or more, and then guards, male and female. And I was in this cell, and it's a cell for two, but there was no one. I was the only one there. And then later, I was moved to a cell that only had one bed. And what was interesting was the the toilet bowl.
Uh-oh.
The toilet bowl, you could sit, but it was as if there was no lid. In other words, if you had a toilet and you just removed the, the lid, the top, and the seat that you sit on, the seat was still there, but it was a rim,
Right.
and I found that to be very interesting. And
A big culture shock for you, I'm sure. Dr. Cosby.
well, I didn't care. I didn't care for it anyway. Um, the noise of the sliding door of my cell, I could always tell when someone was coming to either bring something or ask me a question. And what seemed to be important to them, when I came in, people could call and ask for you,
Mhm.
and then someone would come in and get you, and take you to the dentist, to to the doctor, but never would they say the day before you have a this or a that at
Mhm.
the X o'clock.
So you
Mm.
wasn't
Just call up.
I'm sorry, you wasn't expecting, nor did you receive special treatment, is what I'm hearing.
Well, that's correct. That's correct.
Mm. Dr. Cosby, I have a question for you that many want to know, and I don't think that anyone has ever heard an answer from you. But rumor had it that your legal problems began because you were supposed to be buying NBC. Is that true?
I have no evidence to that effect, and nothing comes up to it. Uh, when we went to a meeting at down at Wall Street, and I had three men with me,
Mhm.
none of color, and the meeting was held. And after the meeting, we were prepared. We had things to show them. And after that, the word was that we were rejected for the loan. And the reason for rejecting us for the loan was that they, the people loaning the money, didn't know anything about television.
So the
Mm.
loan was for the purchase to acquire NBC?
Yes,
Hmm.
that was why we had the meeting.
Okay.
Mm.
So I'll tell you, media was the most egregious because I have never been hassled so much in are you going to buy NBC? And I wouldn't give an answer to that. And then Newsweek came out with an article, and in the article in Newsweek, the writer said wrote that it after making me not a person to that anybody would want to buy it. His reason was Bill Cosby is going to hire his friends. So that gave me an idea of how these people were protecting things from, and I think it was a wink that
Hmm.
this fellow was writing uh, about. Well, he's going to bring all his black friends.
Hmm.
Of course, the boogeyman's. He's gonna bring all the boogeyman's. Mr. Cosby, let's go
Well,
back
the
because I know
boogeymen's and women's.
in the women's.
Hmm.
I know that there's, and we're gonna get to that. We leading up to it. I know there's something as a story you want to tell us about when you were being released. But before we get to that, there's a couple of things you were, and I don't know that you and I've had these conversations off, you know, camera, of course, off, not published, I should say. But you have you know mentioned that they offered you deals to avoid being in prison, even in prison. I mean, and here you
Well,
are.
it's the usual thing, and my lawyer, while the first trial was going on, my lawyer came to me and said the district attorney is offering you to sign a paper saying you did it and that would be you wouldn't have to do prison time. And I told my lawyer to continue with the trial. Don't stop the trial. I wasn't signing any papers or anything. And then he did it two more times. My lawyer did, and he said it is the law that I repeat what the district attorney says and makes and what the offer is. And I said no. So then we wound up with the hung jury.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, keep in mind I'm blind and I cannot see people's reactions, et cetera, et cetera. However, I get word from other people that I won't name that outside there are some things going on outside of the courtroom that that the jury had planned a vote. They had planned a vote. It wasn't anything against me, but their vote had come out, and what I was told was that they had freed me, and that the judge put him in a smaller room away from things and he made him go back. And this is what I heard. And then they started arguing with each other, et cetera, et cetera.
Dr. Cosby, in 2016, I wrote an article for the Los Angeles Sentinel newspaper, which is a member of the Black press. And I titled it Cosby and Trump, Black and White America. You both had sexual assault allegations. You both were convicted. You went to prison. Trump became president twice. Do you have any thoughts about that? What's your response to that when you look in hindsight and all of the things that you said to us and tried to teach us through your show, through your comedy about being a Black man in America? What are your thoughts about when you look in hindsight about Donald Trump and yourself? Same scenarios. You're both convicted. You go to prison. He's president. What's your response?
Well, here's and somebody had to be there other than Bill Cosby at these trials, because my lawyer was in the second trial, which is the one that came with the convictions and with the sentencing. My lawyer said to me when it was just about over, he said to me that this was all a train ride for you to the prison. This is all set up. Well, I was listening to the trial, and I knew they were talking about me, but there was a friend of mine who, when I had when I was allowed to go home, this is during the trial, who said to me, and this friend of mine is white, and he said, I was just talking to a writer for the so-and-so, the media, and he said, I believe did it. He said, but those women were not good. And I just smiled, and I just had a sense that this was all rigged, and that I was going anyway, and I my wife and I talked about it. Not the rigging, but we were still hoping that this is America, and that things will be done in a fair way.
Mhm. Well, as you stated in that first trial, what you heard is what a number of us heard that was there at the trial, that the first jury did ring the bell to the judge and said that they were unanimous for acquittal, and the judge did send them back to a smaller room and made them deliberate. And we had one of the longest deliberations in history. It went on for 57 hours before they declared a hung jury. But I want to go to back to the prison aspect of it all, and that is now again, you were offered these deals beforehand. Wasn't I also understood that while you were in prison, you could have left prison if you would have simply signed some papers and said that you were guilty. Is that accurate?
Well, the bait and switch is the following: sign the paper and go to these classes, and then we will let you go. Well, my signature would be in an sealed envelope, and nobody could open it. Uh, the yearbook is that prior to anything, there was a judge formerly from Cuba who allowed the AP to open the envelope. He never called my lawyer except to say the envelope is open. When before this before that time, we uh, filed against the judge, and the jury judges, the appellate judges, came back and said, "There's nothing we can do about it." And then they started talking about something that was absolutely stupid, some toothpaste being out of the tube and they won't be able to put it back in. And I kept saying to my lawyer, "Buy another tube." So
Yeah.
anyway, it was all set up from way in the beginning. Yes.
When you go back and you think about, that horrific experience that you went through, in hindsight, are there any lessons or takeaways that you feel you've learned through that experience?
Learning from this experience, I just know that when they say correction, that's
Mhm.
not the way it is. It's not. It's not to correct these human beings. Because if they did, they would have top-notch uh, people who deal in the physical health and the mental health. Um, there would be certain rules and regulations uh, that the residents, as they call themselves, would have. Although things for men who have been convicted of these of their different crimes, there was nothing that I heard about in terms of ill treatment,
Mm-hmm.
it was just that the food was was so salty, and it was just that the food appeared from, if you fixed it,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be written how it's fixed, it wouldn't be healthy for human consumption. Not that it was poison, but things in food, and of course, money to pay for the amount that each human being would get to eat. Um, that was different, and I the only thing that I felt about being at Phoenix was that on the phone, uh, there was a recording that said that you would be recorded, and so my wife, whenever I called her, uh, I just badly wanted to tell her uh, how I felt, and she would say, "Just be quiet," and she just did not want me to say anything.
Yeah.
But I did have feelings about my family, knowing what this was supposed to do. In other words,
Mm.
they took away the 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 fact that they had fixed things. The media.
Mm-hmm.
I heard from a source that a person went on TV and said, "Let nothing good be said about Bill Cosby." And from that point on, every source that I know of in the media had they only printed negative things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that far as I'm concerned, is that what I believe to be. In other words, I was not allowed to be interviewed to do things that were positive or talk about positive things. And then my wife had to take care of things that she didn't ordinarily have to do.
Dr.
And
Cosby, Dr. Cosby, with you saying that, and you have maintained your innocence throughout, why do you think this happened to you? Why do you think the media, intentionally, wrote the negative things, and that, this happened to you? Do you have any thoughts on that?
yes, I do, because NBC put on the Huxtables. They didn't think that the Huxtables would do anything, because at the time they had a time slot that they put me in. I went up against Magnum PI. I have nothing against Magnum PI, but they put me up against Magnum PI,
Mhm.
and I think the fact that there was a baby, Keisha, playing the child was interesting to families of all everything, and that it was funny,
Mm-hmm.
and that the things that I noticed about TV and media was, number one, I kept hearing that white media, the individuals who write for white media would say, I have a black friend, and my black friend says they don't know anybody like the Huxtables.
Hmm.
My response was, well, then you ought to get out more often.
That's right.
It what's important is they really media didn't like the fact that the Huxtables were that. They said they were rich, which they're not. It's a middle income. He's a doctor, she's a lawyer, and they don't have a maid or a butler or anything like that. Everybody makes their own bed. They wash the dishes. They cook. And then when they found, they tried to emulate, because we became very successful. And I remember the people playing my mother and father. I didn't know they went out to hear the pitch by another network. And they both said, you have no idea what they wanted us to do.
Mm.
Not just leave the show, but the writing and how they wanted them to live. It was not a progressive thought. And then, of course, when the show following me, which was a white family, left on TV for entertainment, I spoke with my partners, Tom and Marcy, about a different world, and I was accepted, and I think also something that became problematic was the sign on Theo's door.
Hmm.
It was not a big sign. It didn't blast. It just said, abolish apartheid.
Mm.
And somebody said to me, well, they want to take that sign down. I said, if you do, you can take the show with it.
Hmm.
Wow.
We were number one. And I heard a journalist on TV say, usually at this time we announce the top TV shows. Well, I'm not going to say who was number one. We'll just go to number two.
Well, I think you should know Inga Harton, who's watching. She said, I dreamed of living like the Huxtables as a child. She says, you gave me hope and helped groom me to be the successful entrepreneur that I am today. You taught me how to be great and a great listening parent. She says, thank you.
Oh, nice.
Well, the truth of the matter is that it gave me a chance to negate where writers wanted to go, and I negated them because I had already seen shows, and these people didn't understand clearly the culture of where they didn't believe where Cliff came from and where his wife came from. Claire and Cliff went to predominantly black historical colleges and universities. And there, the teaching in those schools were by professors from many different colleges and countries and continents. And these people are serious about getting the message to you. Yes, I know about the story of Morehouse, etc., etc. But the others, the smaller ones, the not smaller, but the in being known,
Mm-hmm.
professors are can come from India, they can come from the continent of Africa, but they're serious. They can come from Russia, Germany, Italy, and when they come to teach there, they are serious. And the
We
Mm.
get to
students, those
I'm s-
students who want will pile on.
mhm.
I think that Randall Robinson in Virginia segregated, but the school he went to, Virginia Union, Virginia State, I don't know which one, but he was accepted at Harvard. And the only thing he didn't know, and it was in his book, was that the first time he went on Harvard's campus, he went into a building to meet with someone I don't remember, and he saw, the coffee pot and this round thing, which he thought was a donut, and that was his first meeting with a bagel.
Mhm.
So, in terms of culture, that's what it was. Then the USA Today had a fellow who wrote a column, and he had to watch the um, the different world, and
Mm.
out loud in his column, he didn't know why the show was on the air.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Another experience I had was the Philadelphia Daily News. There was a writer. This man hated the Huxtables.
Hmm.
He hated that show, and every week he found something nasty and just said it, and then finally, when he found out, I guess I'm only guessing, that it wasn't going to go off the air, he then made an announcement in his column. He said, "Well, why don't you just take it off?" And that is what I think bothered them. I
Mm.
then put on after that a show. Um, I played Guy Hanks,
Yeah.
a forensics doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and he is going to break all of these, uh, break down the crime, the crimes, and
Mhm.
had a I had a white male partner, and it wasn't Robert Culp, but he also, according to my instructions, hit the lottery, so he didn't have to work. He just retired. But then he pitched in and helped his friend who was on the police force. Well, I also had a young male, black, and he came to me delivering a pizza, and he wanted to be like Guy Hanks, but he didn't want to study for it. And we spent time on scripts proving to this young black fellow that you have to go to college to get the education. You just can't hang out with somebody and be. So they took that show, which I sent to different producers.
Mm-hmm.
Did we lose you?
Well, I'm hearing something
Oh,
else in my ear.
oh, you.
Doctor,
Well,
Stacey, let me ask him this because he brought up black men. And there's a conversation, Dr. Cosby, that we want to give you the opportunity to, to elaborate on, since you're talking about black men sewing into this young black man. You received a lot of criticism for saying back in the day that black men need to pull their pants up. Do you remember that comment?
Yes.
Yeah, and so a lot of people, a lot of people felt the way. I'm sure you heard about it. And a lot of black men said you shouldn't have said it without earning their respect. In hindsight, do you stand by that
Well,
statement?
but what was it they used to say? They not only did that, but what got a lot of attention was the shoes, untied laces,
Mm-hmm.
and then the pants down around the crack of the coccyx. And if this is the attention, then it's something put towards you, like they would put drugs into the neighborhood. They would lace the marijuana. They are putting us under siege.
Mm.
Yes, it would appear that you are hip, but they even put the braiding of the hair into the prison. That this is where they learned how to braid the hair, from the prisoners doing it. No prisoners had or were allowed to have their pants around the crack. No prisoners were allowed at Phoenix to go around untied shoelaces.
mm,
So I just felt this was a move by people who didn't want to have a picture. They would rather have a picture of a youth doing nothing, not studying, and have his pants lowered. And then I heard stories that these people with the pants lowered had gone in and held up places, and they were trying to run away, and the pants fell down and tripped them. I
listen, I
paid
have.
no attention to those criticisms
Yeah,
because
I'm glad you didn't.
when it was decided that media would say that Bill Cosby and put all these women together, and they made the accusations. Judge Brown said on one of his shows Accusations with no proof are just accusations. And it's important to understand that if you erase the Huxtables, which is what they did, and you stop Bill Cosby from performing, and he can't pay his rent, he can't pay his taxes, and things are piling. And it just becomes problematic for him. Then you put him away, and you get black writers. You get our stronghold magazine, Ebony, and you find black writers who are willing to pay to write negative things. You find writers in Essence magazine who write things, yet they have no proof.
Mm. That's
So all yes,
that's I think I get exactly what you're saying, and I think our audience do too, because I'm seeing even your guy Memphis Jokes saying facts, facts, facts. But let's get to the before we run out of time. I want to get to the story that what happened when you were being released. I know that that's something that you had never shared with anyone, and like for you to share it with us.
okay. But there's a preface.
It's
In in prison in Phoenix, there were certain uh, clubs. I guess you can call them clubs, and one was called Man Up. And the fellow who was the host of Man Up, his nickname was Benny, and I won't give his real name. But every Saturday, for I guess it was 2 hours, they would have things that they called straightening out the criminality of one's thoughts. And I went to them, and they said, "Okay, you can have about 15 minutes." And I went out in my wheelchair because I'm blind. And I do remember one day I brought up a story about heroes, and I told them about my heroes and how they kept me thinking well. And all of a sudden, a clear male voice of 400 sold out. They didn't sell tickets. Said, "I will be your hero, Mr. Cosby," because that was the theme that these people needed heroes also. Then there was a church, a religious thing called Men of Valor. And the minister came to me and asked me if I would speak to them because these men are being released. And I thought and thought and thought and thought and thought. No writing things down because they had rejected my offer to take Braille and learn how to read and write with Braille, and they rejected that in Phoenix. So what I said to the Men of Valor, I said, "And as you leave this prison, whatever you go out and become," I said to them, "I noticed that in the Bible, the parts about Jesus, that Jesus never smiled. And I want you, if you are going to do what you say you're going to do in your turnaround, make Jesus smile." And all of a sudden, the Man Up program as I'm getting ready to leave is no longer. And I think that terrible COVID thing caused the break. We couldn't leave ourselves. We couldn't go anywhere. I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but I just want you guys to know that that's what I told these men of valor in the church. And I, being blind, I didn't know if there was 7 or 20 of them. But once COVID allowed us to go outside in the sun, I sat in the sun a couple of days outside of our portion of our wing where we could sit, and I only needed about 20 minutes, and then I would get very, very tired, and I'd come in and go into my cell, and they would slide the doors locked. You could hear them blam, and I went to sleep. And going to sleep, I was sleeping, and I heard the door to my cell clunk and slide open. And I heard fast steps, and it was a resident. And he said, Mr. Cosby, you have to wake up. You can go home. You can go home. They just said you can go home. And then somebody else came in and said, yeah, man, get up and go home before they change their mind. And I was being stunned. I didn't say where, whoa. What I said was there are things in my locker that I should take with me. No, don't worry about it. You just get off. I said, okay. So I got up. I don't remember all of the rest, but I know that I had to wait for the sit in the wheelchair and wait for a guard to push me. The guard is going to be an officer with the rank of major and a white female. And she finally came, very nice lady, and I sat there, and she pushed me out of my cell in the wheelchair. She made a turn, and as we're making the turn, I heard a staccato applause. Rap, 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 rap. There are 2 floors. First floor, second floor of cells. And this place, I don't know, I can't see. I just know it was enough to have all of these fellows clapping. And she was pushing me slowly. And I said, this is not like driving Miss Daisy, is it? And she said, who's Miss Daisy? And that's when I just said nothing. I went on down. She pushed me down, and then came the release. I put on some clothes, and I rode that car.
I'm I want to take a quick pivot, Dr. Cosby. Before you came on, we were talking about the Smithsonian, the African American Museum. We know that the Cosby Show was a contemporary history lesson for us, from teaching us about HBCUs all the way to teaching us about Black art. And so today we find ourselves having to fight to keep Black history in schools, libraries. And of course, we see what the Trump administration is trying to do to the Smithsonian African American Museum. What are your thoughts about that?
My thought is that if you remove those things, you remove the spirit of our achievements. Wilma Rudolph. It's not going to be Wilma Rudolph winning any races there. Wilma Rudolph, who was born obviously, and there was polio that attacked her, and she still was an Olympic champion. You're not going to read about Ralph Bunche. The spirit of success and the continuation of being told that you are dumb, to be told that you cannot compete on any level with people, with white people. And many times, I mean, what are they going to do about Dr. King and his murder? What story are they going to tell? And I do believe that, and I think Stacey has heard me say it, they never wanted to pay the slaves, and they never forgave us for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you, Mr. Cosby, know the Secretary Lonnie Bunch personally?
No.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and this again, I mean, I think you said it well. It's about erasure. We talked about the Cosby Show, the erasure. One other thing I wanted to ask you too, and I see even Dr. Marilyn is asking, with your experience, of course, in Phoenix, SCI Phoenix, the the impact it had on your family, um, you know, Mrs. Cosby to be specific, and how much of
Please,
this say it
how much
again?
how much of this, when you said Mrs.
Yeah.
Cosby specifically, and I said, please.
And how much of this do you view as, because you spent a lot of money with lawyers, you still spending a lot of money with lawyers. Oftentimes there's an attack on Black wealth. How much was this an attack on on your wealth?
There's a difference. My daughter, Erin, came to me one day. She was about 9 years old. She said, Dad, are we wealthy? I said, no, we are rich,
Okay.
but we're not wealthy. She said, well, what is the difference? I said, wealthy people can afford maintenance. Rich people can afford to buy things, but there's still a bill. And when can you pay if you're rich? And if people cut all that out, then you will find yourself wanting more money. But my wife, Camille, is not only a very intelligent woman, but she is a woman who saved my mother's life, and she has saved my life by continuously saying, It's what you put in your mouth. And if you eat clean, then your brain will be clean, your body, your blood. And she makes sure that we eat like that. And that's why at age 88, I'm cancer free, and I don't have any ailments of forgetting things. Although a friend of mine was very funny, I won't name him, but he said he's in his middle 70s. He said just the other day, my wife is just staring at me. I think I'm going to have her examined for Alzheimer's. And I said, why? He said, because she kept looking at me and saying that she couldn't figure out what it was about me that made her marry me.
Well, Dr. Cosby, before we let you go, I want to play a word game with you. And I'm going to say a phrase or a word. And I would like for you to give us the first thought that comes to your mind.
Do me a favor. I'm not going to do that because I've met enough psychologists, and the only one I trust died. His name is Alvin Poussaint. But I do feel that I'm appreciative of this interview.
Okay.
And that whenever I had a chance to speak to some young residents, I always tried to give them the experience of doing things properly and knowing the business that they're into. And by all means, I heard a resident one day outside as I'm going to eat. He called himself a nigger. And I couldn't see the guy, but man, it erupted such an anger that I wanted to say to him, you are not that. Please don't yell it all over a prison ground. The people who named our people this, some of them are guards. And some of them know that that's what they call you. And he said, I never thought of it that way. And I said, there's another thing you have to remember.
Mm-hmm.
People of color are under siege.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
Yes.
That is for sure. Mr. Cosby, we appreciate you giving us your time this morning. As always, it's good hearing from you and the experiences that you share, and certainly on our history, our culture. So important. We certainly appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and I just want to say this has probably been one of the biggest highlights of my journalism career, to be able to speak to you and for you to be able to share such personal information and your experience with the Black press. So I just say thank you. My weekend is made.
I have a message for the Black press. The white press used to say, why are you talking to them? Well, just let me give you an example. I never finished the statement because I'm unrehearsed and I don't have notes. But when the show was when the Huxtables were just about ready to go out. I mean, finished. Um, I noticed that there were certain commercials about black shows coming in, and the promo, and maybe the two of you heard it. The promo was, "This is not the Cosby Show," and I thought that was very interesting because there's no way in the history of entertainment TV that people would say, "This is not the Ed Sullivan Show. This is not the Lucy Show."
Interesting stuff, as always. As always. Appreciate you.
But we have to have strength, and we have to put it where it belongs, in our future, in our look. There's a school in Washington, D.C., Paul Lawrence Dunbar. Read the history of it and read about the women during the time of segregation who went to Paul Lawrence Dunbar, and mathematics and chemistry and the things that they excelled in. You've got to know that the director, the black director who did the thing about Wiley College winning the debate over Harvard, Wiley being the black college. These things are for real. We are not losers. Yeah, Tulsa lost because it was the only city in the United States of America that was bombed from the air.
Mm-hmm.
And we do very, very well with our brains and with our bodies. I was in the hospital and unsighted. This is after prison, and a black doctor came to meet me. He's he graduated from a school, and a predominantly white school. He played football for them. He then went on and became a Rhodes Scholar. This black man came out, played professional football, and then he decided he wanted to become a doctor. And he is. I'm telling you, the stories that exist of people who, in that housing project, and I'll do another interview with you because I think these things have to be known. That Richard Allen project that I moved to with my mother. My father was a man who did not want responsibility. And the things that in 1942 that these people put together for this housing project, never let us forget that we could, we can, and we should.
Awesome. Well, again, yes, we have to. We will have to talk to you again for sure. Thank you so much, and
Well,
our
I
best.
thank you.
Yes, and our best to Mrs. Cosby.
And don't forget to read Paul Lawrence Dunbar's history and those women who studied and became. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Cosby.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
folks,
you.
again, again, and more good stuff there, Neil. Appreciate it very much, and quite an experience.
Yeah, great conversation. I think he answered a lot of questions. That NBC question is like an urban legend that keeps
It's
going on and on. And so to hear him answer that and then to talk about the things that our black community wanted to know from him. Very important. Bill Cosby is a part of the black experience, like it or not.
Yeah.
And his
And I did want to get, I'm sorry, and I'll let you continue as we wrap up, but I did want to get Dr. Joni's comments in as well. I understand that not everybody, agrees, but, and I
yeah.
certainly wanted to do that. But as you know, Mr. Cosby does tell stories that, you want to hear them out.
Yeah, and
And,
2 things can be right at the same time,
yeah,
and everybody's feelings are valid. But at the same time, as Black journalists curating the Black experience, we have the opportunity to tell the story how we want it, just like white journalists do it their way.
mhm,
And I think that, by us opening up this space to let him talk and tell his side is just as important as the headlines that they put out about him as well. So, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that time. He
mhm,
is one of our elders. And so to be able to have him pour into us, his experiences from his perspective
right.
was I loved it.
Yeah,
Good job,
absolutely.
Stacey.
Go y'all know Neil took over that interview for the most part.
No, I
Good
mean,
job.
Dr. Cosby, I mean, and I think he would have enjoyed my word game. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, when the elders say no, they say no.
They say
But
no.
the one thing we didn't get to that I really wanted to talk to him about was comedy. Is he
Yeah.
still writing jokes? Does he
Oh,
have any desire to continue to tell jokes in one
right,
form or
right.
fashion? He could be a streamer now. He could jump on stream and do a comedy
Can
show.
you imagine?
Man,
Wow.
and center him around some other comedians. I think that would be a great conversation to play. Like, can you imagine Dr. Bill Cosby and Kev on stage? You know who Kev on stage is, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I think that would be such a compliment and a yin and a yang. I used to run a comedy club, so I could put a
Yeah,
comedy
yeah.
show together. But I think those two together, because Kev would definitely know how to, help, move Dr. Cosby along, although he doesn't need it. But I just think that would be a great comedy show.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, we are out of time. We are way out of time. We will be back Monday with more topics and headlines that we didn't get to, and of course, we'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on in Black America. We will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.